Benchmarking is one of the very exciting areas under the theme of productivity and quality management. If you want to improve your productivity, if you want to improve the quality of operations, there are many ways to it, and benchmarking is one of the ways which companies sometimes use. Sometimes it is open that the company is benchmarking against some other product, their products to some other products or services, and sometimes it is not obvious, but of course they are looking at some type of uh, other businesses, how they are doing their work, and in order to improve themselves, they would want to think about benchmarking against them. And in simple words, it is uh, you can call these standards also. You are looking at some standards which you want to mark yourself against. So that is what we would like to start discussing. So benchmarking, you would have to, of course, read the chapters in detail, but I'm going to highlight a couple of things. As you are looking at benchmarking, you should look at it against different concepts. For example, one concept can be uh, benchmarking versus re-engineering, and you would want to think what is re-engineering. So you are looking at how your various steps are in any operation, and you are making maybe some type of changes in them, realigning them maybe. So that is how you would want to start thinking about maybe re-engineering, putting in new type of maybe improvements that can be part of that also. And why would we want to benchmark? Uh, because maybe we are competing uh, for having the customers in the market with our competition. So customers are, no matter how many the customers are, there are still in a limited number, and you want to grow your number more, whatever your number is. Um, so um, you are trying to see that you can offer your product or service in the best way so that the customer is attracted to you. So you would want to maybe minimize your the basic things which we have discussed, like minimize your cost, improve your quality, of course, these type of things. So you would want to see how other companies are doing it. If you can learn anything from them, you would be looking at that maybe. So these type of things you would be maybe looking at. These things are quite important. For example, prerequisite to benchmarking. What are the things which a company needs to do before it embarks the journey of benchmarking? What are the things which should be there? Uh, what are the things which company should not go in benchmarking when they don't have those type of things? Um, so, for example, will and commitment. Uh, because benchmarking is quite a big effort. So if that proper will and commitment is not available from, for example, the top leadership, if the resources are not available, if the time is not available, then maybe benchmarking is not the best technique to improve your productivity or quality. There are other things which you can do. Maybe you can re-engineer your processes, um, or maybe you can go on the path of continuous improvement. Over a period of time you just improve whatever you are offering. But maybe then benchmarking is not for you, because it is going to take a lot of effort and uh, uh, over a longer period of time, this type of exercise would happen. And maybe that is why, although I said that many companies do benchmarking, but this is not something which you will like hear very often. Also, if you think about it, think about it, how many you have heard about the term benchmarking, like in newspapers or media, or in anything, uh, like if you don't hear this term a lot, like a company is benchmarking against the other company. It's But they are doing it, but you don't see it too much in the media. And why is that? Of course, obvious reasons, and one of a lot of will and commitment is required over a longer period of time. And as I was saying, there are other ways, other techniques to improve productivity and quality. So many times benchmarking is also not for every company. And by the end of the discussion, in next half an hour, 1 hour, whatever time it takes, it will be more clear to you why a lot of will and commitment is required. Vision, strategic objective link, goal to become the best, not simply improve. This is very important, because benchmarking is quite different from, like, for example, continuous improvement or other principles which are used to improve productivity and quality. Quite different, because in this, it's a goal should be to become the best, and here we mean best in class, best in category. So it's not just improvement, it is you need to become best, and then you are finding the best target, best standards which other companies are maybe performing at, and then you are marking your bench against them, so that you can become the best in class. Yeah. So, and again, that is one of the reason why you don't hear this term a lot, because not every company is there to become the best um, in their field or domain or product or service. Also be mindful that you don't benchmark against a company. This is again an important pointer which sometimes we miss. You can't necessarily benchmark against a company, because the company is giving a lot of products and services, and they can be one of the leading companies in the world, but not all of their products and services are equally good. You can think about anything, like you can think about car manufacturer, for example. You can think about like any company like Toyota is known for its reliability, for example. Although nowadays people say that even Toyotas are not as reliable as they used to be, but still, maybe comparatively speaking, you can look at the reports which company is reliable in terms of automotive. And let's assume whatever the company is, let's say if it is Toyota or any other company, are all of their products equally reliable? No, some are more reliable than the others. So you don't necessarily benchmark against Toyota. You benchmark against some of their processes or services, and so on. For example, if you want to look at um, service, for example, so maybe let's say that you want to improve your customer service, for example, and in that, what do you want to improve? You would have to think about that within customer service, what is it exactly you want to improve. So maybe you would say that within customer service, I want to improve how my company takes the calls, attend to calls when they come in, for anything, for order, for whatever general information. So I want to see that my calls are received very quickly, the conversation is very smooth. If there is any complaint, it is taken properly, and so on, if that is what you want to improve in your company. And let's say you are food delivery, like food, something related with food items. It can be fast food, it can be anything. So now you want to improve how you take your calls. So the question here is that which companies you can benchmark yourself against. So maybe you would think that, okay, because we are food company, so we are going to look at other food companies. If we are fast food, we will look at other fast foods and see how they have perfected their timing. If they are, of course, want to be best in class, so you would want to look at the best maybe. And then I would just replicate their maybe efforts in the beginning and then try to improve on them, and over the period of time I would become best in class. But that is not necessarily how you would want to select your benchmark. So although you would be in food business, fast food, let's say, but you are not trying to benchmark your burgers or something like that. This is the process of taking phones. So any company which is known of taking phones very quickly and solving the customer problem very quickly and effectively, any company you can benchmark, or you should benchmark against that company. So you can go out of your industry, that is what I'm trying to say, because you want to become maybe best. So maybe airline industry, you find out that they are known as taking calls very swiftly, and whatever you want to become eventually, maybe they are known for that. So then you can benchmark against an airline company phone taking operation. So you would be a fast food company, but you could benchmark against airline or any other company. So what I'm trying to say is that it does not necessarily has to be your own industry. It can be across the board. And also be mindful here that because you want to become best in the category, if you have not done the basic things in your company which are obvious, which you can do without even comparing yourself to anyone, if the proper mechanisms are not being done, then you are just not ready to benchmark. If your SOPs are not written, if the basic things people don't know, if it is a plant and basic requirements of hygiene or safety are not kept in place, then you are way far from benchmarking. So we forget about benchmarking at that. It is something where you are doing pretty well, and you have looked at your operations and services, and you have tried to see what are the loopholes and improved on them, and then you have brought in some stability also in the operations for a longer period of time, and then you not really sure what else you can do. So now you start looking at other companies who are better than you, and then you go on that path. But if basic things are not being done, then why you would want to benchmark? And if you look at companies generally, are generally companies operating to become best? Is that the like, look at companies in Jamaica, for example. Any companies are, what are their, like, what are they are just happy to satisfy some clients, and if there are a couple of mistakes here and there, they would like to improve them over a period of time, and as long as they are making decent money, they are okay about that. And as long as majority of the customers are satisfied, they'll say, all right, no problem, we are okay. Yeah. So that is how majority of the companies are anywhere in the world. Very few companies are really focused on uh, becoming best or something like that in some of their processes. Because you in business world you don't necessarily have to become become best to make money. You can make money even without becoming best. Uh, so different ambitions are required, and then to become best it is a lot of effort and dedication, and as we were talking about will and commitment, is a different type of things are required. So it's just like you guys in class. Do you want to become like best in class? And here class means not your class. Class means across the board, all the people around the world who are doing undergraduate degree and doing some courses on productivity and quality management. That is class. Are you here to become best in that class? I doubt that. Yes. So what is your ambition? Are you even in this cohort? Is your ambition to become best in cohort? Maybe not. Maybe you are satisfied if you easily pass the course and you can just complete. And that is the same thing. And nothing is wrong in that. If you want to become best in something else, maybe your work is your priority, or your family is your priority, or there are some other hobbies which are your priority, or work life balance is your priority. So nothing is wrong in that. Uh, every person defines success very differently. The same is true for businesses. They're not necessarily there to become best in the class, and that is why maybe benchmarking is not for them. And these are some of the prerequisites: you openness to new idea, of course, understanding of existing processes, products, services, customer needs. And these are quite hard to understand. Like customer needs, it's quite hard. It's not easy to understand the need of customer, because many times customers also do not understand their need, their requirement. If they truly understood their need, then when they go to a grocery store to buy cookies, they won't be just looking at various type of cookies and just trying to make up their mind which one to pick up, or standing against a refrigerator and looking at different drinks for couple of minutes, sometimes sometimes longer. Which one should I choose? Why is that? Because the need is at some point in this, at some level, it is not 100% clear. And of course there are other issues also, but it's a need thing. If the need requirement is 100% clear, then it should be very fast, because you are absolutely clear about your need. Now we can argue on that. Like you can think, okay, maybe the need is water, but then which water to choose? Or there are flavored waters, which, if there are 10 flavors, which flavor should I go for? But again, if you will look deeply in this, uh, you would find out that the research indicates that the need is customers do not know what they really want. uh, and that is why marketing is there. If customer knew what they really want, then there is very different type of marketing which would be required. But as a human beings also, you can think about it, that as a human being, do we really, even if you forget about productivity and quality, as a human being, do you really want what you want from life? It's a kind of philosophical question, but think about it. And even let's say many people don't know, but let's say that but at what age, at what stage you became a little clear on what you really want from life. Uh, um, or maybe 5 years ago you wanted something else and you were very clear, but now you have a different take on that. So that gives a different twist to all this debate of customer need, because the customer might know what they need, but the needs are going to evolve also. So it is like a moving target for a business to really understand what customer really need, and that is why they put the customers in brackets, uh, like 30 to 35-year-old girls, women would with one child would need this type of product, and they would segment them and then make product for them. But within that within that category, people can be very different just because they behave differently. Their preference is different. Yeah. So customer need alone is quite difficult. So now you look at understanding of existing processes, product, services, and customer needs. If these things are not there, then benchmarking is not for you. Processes, documented SOPs, I spoke about that, for example. Process analysis skills, research, communication, team building skills. These are some of the prerequisites, which if you don't have, then you don't go for benchmarking. You do something else. So you will see that many times companies are not going for benchmarking per se, but that should not stop us to understand the topic, because it is very interesting topic. Uh, um, and it can be used in under productivity and quality. Maybe you want to benchmark some aspect in your life against the best, and you want to become best in that. It can be anything. So in that, if you want to become best in anything in your life, like any process, you can't say I want to become best in best in my work. It's very vague. Within your work, which job exactly, which job element you want to become the best at. Yeah. So then you will look at the top people in that element, and then you would see how they prepare, how they what are the things they are doing. um, and then it is like, you might say you want to become best public speaker, but you can't benchmark against best public speaker. You would have to pick up one aspect of your public speaking. So for example, quality of your voice. Yeah, that is one aspect, voice quality. So now you would look at what type of voice qualities you like or you want to pitch or throw, uh, and then study on that, and then see how you can improve or take your voice quality alone within whole domain of public speaking, which is very broad. So many things are involved in public speaking. So, but you are looking at voice quality and then looking at, so you would be, maybe you would be benchmarking your voice quality to X, and then you would benchmark your, let's say, accent to Y, and then you will maybe your hand movement you will benchmark against Z. And that is what I'm trying to say, because benchmarking against one company or one individual is not a practice which is recommended in the literature which I have seen so far. But you can, these are some thoughts. You will read in detail about these things. The chapters are there, and then if anything, you can, of course, we can have more conversation on it. If you learn something new, exciting, you can share that with me. Obstacles to successful benchmark. It can be within company, outside company, it can be your own problems, issues. And of course, these prerequisites, if you have not done, perfected these ones to a good, very good standard, then these prerequisites are going to be obstacles again for you. So for example, internal focus, too much internal focus is there. Benchmarking objective, too broad. I gave you example of, for example, public speaking. So within that, you would have to look at, it's too broad, then it is not benchmarking. Unrealistic timeline, it is going to take time. If your processes or your structure of the business is such where you have to meet a lot of deadlines and those type of things, then maybe benchmarking is not something for you, especially because there are many ways to improve productivity and quality, many ways, and benchmarking is one of them. Poor team composition, of course, settling for okay in class. If you want to be okay, and nothing is wrong in being okay, because we have established that you can be okay and still do pretty well in your business, in your class, in your category. Okay does not mean that you are going to, it's different ambitions which are required, different purpose is required, different targets, different vision is required to become best in class, and then to benchmark, and so on. Resources, if those resources you not properly calculated, and in the middle of the project, if you find out that, and resources not just financial, your own energy level, because it is going to take a lot from you if you are going to benchmark against the best. uh, if you have to see where you are in your life. If you are looking at personal benchmarking, and you would have to see your company's situation, if it is product or service. Your employees, for example, if they are settling for okay in class, then how you can uh, make your product or service, or some aspect of your product or service, ready for benchmark. If they are not as much motivated as you are, then again that would be a problem, and that is why they said poor team composition. It's a team work environment, is a team. So if everyone is not on board, of course it is going to improper emphasis, insensitivity to partners. This is very interesting, and why partnership would become, because for benchmark you would have to have some other entity, you would have to work with them at some level, because all information is not available online. A lot is available, but there are some things which companies don't necessarily post, especially how they are perfecting their processes and procedures. And because now you would want to become best in class, you would have to have some type of with which you are going to uh, benchmark yourself against. But why that company would want to become partner with you, why they would want to share their secret sauce with you, these are some challenging questions. So to answer them, you would have to be best in class in some job element. Yes. So I'll just continue with public speaking example. So if one person want to make their voice quality best in class under the theme of public speaking, and now they find the person who is on a top level in terms of voice quality, the quality of their voice, they have perfected it, and just listening to the voice, it gives you some type of entertainment value or knowledge value or whatever. Just the quality of voice is so trustable, you can call that whatever it is, or confidence level is shown in the voice quality, whatever you are looking for. So but why that person is going to share their secrets with you? So on a personal level, it can be different. Maybe they are offering their services, they have a course, you can take that course and so on. But in companies, that does not necessarily happen. So then you would have to be best in class in something else. So maybe you are best in class in your hand gestures, hand movements, your body movement, maybe where you start, where you stop on the stage. Maybe you are best in class in your eye contact, whatever you are. So now that other person would want to become partner with you because they are going to teach you how to improve your voice quality, and you will share the knowledge of how to perfect eye contact so that it is not very intense, but it is people are engaged through eye contact. Even if there are 50 people sitting, if there are 100 people sitting, how you need to view in the to the audience, how you need to look, so that if, even if 100 people are sitting, everyone feels that you are engaging with them through eye contact. It's quite a skill, and not everyone can do it. But people who can do it, of course, they are better public speakers than others because audience don't feel left out and so on. So that is where partnership comes in, especially in businesses, because it is give and take. So if you are not best in class in something, then you now need to figure out how you are going to gain a partnership with the other company who can be your competition also. Yeah. And that is why now go back, revisit to the point which I made, that you don't necessarily have to benchmark your process against within your own industry. It can be outside your industry also. And I gave you example of fast food and benchmarking how you take calls. And now I said that we don't necessarily have to look within fast food industry. You can go outside, and the example we gave is maybe airline industry, and you will benchmark your processes of taking phone calls with the airline, which is not your industry, but then it might be a little bit easier for you guys to partner because you are not direct competition. If KFC and uh, Burger King or McDonald, or these type of companies, they want to create that partnership, it can be hard because they are competition also. But if KFC goes out and partnership with maybe a call center which is best in taking calls, then maybe it can be relatively easier. Relatively, yeah. Again, there different problems can occur. Maybe there is some, it's jointly owned, your competition and the owner of the call center which you want to benchmark against, it is same owner. It can happen, they have diversified their business, so they are in food business, and they are also running call centers. That can happen also. So you would have to look in your market what you want to do. And that is why we don't necessarily benchmark against a company. We benchmark ourselves against some job element or process. Yeah. uh, Limited top leadership support, of course, very important. Role of management in benchmarking. So as you would be going in on the journey of management benchmarking, what are the things which management needs to maybe provide? Commitment to change, of course, it is going to require a lot of change within processes, procedures. So all the things you study in a course like management of change, MGMT 3065, they are going to become relevant just in this one line, one heading, commitment to change. You would have to consider all the things which you will, if you have taken the course, or if you have already taken the course, all the things. Your change is quite a big topic. So if that type of, and it brings a lot of problems, issues in terms of workers. People generally don't like change, the status quo, um, their jobs can become redundant and so on. Funding, finance, human resource issue, we spoke about that. Disclosure, gave you example. Involvement, yes, indirectly given you examples of that. So now you would have to think more about these type of things. Benchmarking approach and process, these are 14 steps which you can scan through. uh, we can quickly go through them. Obtain management commitment. If you are going to do benchmarking, maybe one thing you would want to do is committed, very much committed. And what in commitment, what would fall? Are they committed to change? Maybe funding is there, human resources there. How is employee morale? The procedures are written, documented. Is company doing involved in some other big projects? And if we are involved already in some big projects, maybe it is not the right time to benchmark, because where we want to focus on. So this top management needs to think about those things. It's not that today you decide, okay, we're going for benchmarking, and after 6 months you say, well, never mind, because it is, you can always back off. Nothing is, if you feel that you this you have to. But the correct method would be that when you go, you analyze these things, and even after analyzing everything, just like in life, we analyze the situation and we start some project, and then we realize, midway, that this is not for us, and we don't quit because it is hard or difficult. We quit for some other reason. Yeah, then it is fair. But why we are quitting that project? Is it something which we should have thought about in the start? If that is the case, then it is bad planning. Should not have been that case. At least the major things you should have thought about. At least, like, you can, like, for example, talk with other companies who have gone on the journey of benchmarking, and say what type of problems you face in the real practical scheme of things, what really happens. So, and learn from their mistakes and so on, that type of maybe. And so that just the preparation can take a good amount of time. um, yeah, so this way you can baseline your own processes, identify and document strong and weak processes. So you should be able to look at which ones are strong, which ones are weak, which one needs improvement. And for weak processes, you try to improve them yourself, because you already know this process is weak. So let's improve that and make it a strong one to the best of your ability before you go in benchmark. The things which you can do on your own, you need to do those things on your own in your own time before you reach out for. Yeah, it's just like, you are trying to understand the concept of benchmarking. So before you ask me something, you need to read and study about that. Read all the things which are posted on the website. Do your own research. Listen to some lecture online on benchmarking. Yeah. So after, scan through some books which are maybe written on benchmarking. There are books written on benchmarking. They would have 10 chapter 12. Scan through them. Not asking to read. Look at the major themes. What is there? Speak with at your work. If you are working, you see what is happening. So after doing those things, and then you see what is your question, and you bring that knowledge to me, and you say, okay, I did some research, this is what I found, and I don't think I'm looking at the right way on this thing which you mentioned. Because let's say for example, I mentioned that you don't benchmark against in your own industry, which is not something which you're going to hear very very often. Maybe you would have to read a little bit on this to really understand what is, because we always say that you compare apples with apples, and what same thing with the same thing. So if you are in this industry, why you would want to go outside of your industry? Those type of questions are sometimes they are difficult to understand. So what I'm saying, you would do your own research, and then you come uh, to someone who has read maybe a little bit more than you. and then discuss the topic. Same way is this this process of benchmarking in itself is done on the same principles. So the weak processes, you know what are these are weak processes. Before you go to the external company, you look within the people who are working on those processes within your company. Speak with them. What is the problem? How we can improve it? Tell them that we are going for benchmarking thing, but we need to look at these things in our own time. So, but many times, people would not want to do that. They would just want to take external help without internally going very deep in it. Yeah. And it's the same thing which will come, like for example in auditing. We would like to discuss that topic also today. So when we go in that topic, we will maybe talk about the same concept there also. So start thinking about that. So it's quite tedious. It's quite tedious because just imagine, to improve some weak processes, how much time it can take. It can take a lot considerable amount of time. Considerable amount of time. And let's just talk about weak processes. So there are different processes. The operation is a collection of various processes, right? So once you identify weak processes and you start improving them in your company, manufacturing, service, or in your private personal life, whatever it is. If the course is productivity and quality management, it should, the principles should apply equally in our private life, and just like it would apply in a business or something like that. So if you start improving your processes, whatever operation you want to improve, and it's a weak process, you start working on it and you improve it, and then there is other process, you improve it, and there. So you would see that over a period of time your overall performance would just improve. It has to improve because you are improving your weak processes. So they are not weak anymore. They are becoming stronger and stronger and stronger over a period of time. And then it is very possible that there a time comes where you are satisfied with your processes and you decide, okay, I don't want to make these processes more stronger because it will take more time, it will take more energy, I need to focus on other things. My clients are satisfied with my product and service, or over satisfied based on the category I'm dealing with. So I'm okay with this and I don't need to improve it further. So what would happen? There is no need of benchmarking then. And that is another one reason why many companies are not going to go for benchmarking, because in the process they just improve them. Many things they just improve. So it's a very different mindset, which is like these top business companies which everyone knows around the world, like a company like Apple, that is maybe going to go for benchmarking. But again, which companies do, that is where they would outsource some of their, as you should be aware that Apple company buys their screen phone screens, iPhone screens, with from the same suppliers as Samsung, and sometimes Samsung is also providing them those screens. So Samsung and Apple are competition. Yes. So why they are not making their own screens? What is the reason? Yes. They don't want to maybe put their resources in that category, and they understand maybe there is someone else who can easily satisfy their needs. There are positive plus and negatives of outsourcing your operations that you would need to consider. But essentially, for the topic of benchmarking, we are saying that sometimes just improving your weak processes, you get satisfied, and then you don't it is your a lot in benchmark is linked with the ambition of the leaders or the workers, and how ambitious they are, how what they where they want to reach. A lot has to do with that, the mindset. um, so you need to think about that. Select processes to be benchmarked, form benchmarking teams, research the best in class, select candidate best in class benchmarking partners, form agreement with, collect data. I think indirectly I have uh, covered these pointers. Monitor, for example, keep on monitoring whatever is happening. Update benchmarks, continue the cycle. This is very interesting. Even benchmark is not going to stay at same as your ability capability is going to improve. Maybe you will benchmark against um, a little better um, process, but eventually the desire should be to become best in class when you are looking at benchmarking, the way I look at benchmarking. But you can see after reading, maybe you would have different thoughts, so that is fine. uh, but follow the readings, see what the book is going to maybe tell you, and it's a very interesting and important topic. uh, Prerequisite, obstacles, and role of management. Yeah. Benchmarking is about comparing your processes with best practices, but there is much more to this. We have discussed a couple of things. Reflect on the discussion. You can glance through the PowerPoint. I can also do that with you very quickly. Why benchmark? Yeah, before you benchmark, you would want to maybe think about that. Uh, what how the book has defined benchmarking, you would want to look at it. This is interesting. Different companies would have different benchmarking processes, just like you saw, like 14 steps uh, a while ago, the 14 steps of benchmarking. So we want to see if first, I think it would be very interesting to identify some company which benchmarks. And I have given you example here. Benchmark example which fascinates me is Porsche. So just run a Google search, Porsche benchmarking, and see what comes up. So for example, Porsche press release benchmark for the past 45 years, and it is on their website. So your task is to find out which companies are in the process of benchmarking, and I'm giving you an example here. On their website, they are talking about benchmark. So now you go ahead and try to find companies which on their website or in the where it is very clear, the company clearly states that they are in the benchmarking thing. So this is your assignment to begin with. If you are going to study benchmarking, that is maybe the first thing you should do, and then see how they are benchmarking. What are the things they are doing? So please do that, and send me that information through email, and so on, and then that would be nice. So for example, Xerox 12 step benchmarking. What are the things they do? Plan, analyze, integrate, communicate, all of those things. uh, what is their process? So you might want to uh, think about those. Why you benchmark, reasons you want to become maybe best in class. For example, this is a question for discussion. This is how I started. I think our conversation, like they can it can be from different industry. It does not have to be from the same industry when you are benchmarking, but that does not mean you cannot benchmark in the same industry. What it means is that you look at your process and then you see which which other company, no matter where they are, within industry or outside, are I want to be like. So it can be that also. It can be best in class, and it can be any uh, aspect. I think someone. Oh yes, very good, Mark. It can be any company. It does not have to be local or international. Any company. Try to find companies, 2, 3 companies. Uh, if all of you can find 2 companies and like 8 people are there, we can have like 18, 16 companies. So that would be very interesting to look at. So any company which very clearly says on their website or something, it is not ambiguous, they use the word benchmark. It's not like they are implying that they are benchmarking. No, very clearly they state that, just like I showed you example of Porsche. Very clearly they are saying that this is what I am doing. So that would be nice. And then there are different types of benchmarking. You would want to think about it based on different industry. We briefly spoke about like element within the process benchmarking. We spoke about like some element in the process. But there are different types of benchmarking. Uh, Performance benchmark, like for example athletes, they would use project performance benchmark, for example in running. uh, Companies which use machinery, they can also use performance benchmark. If you have like some people who go on road, and you know your sales agent or something, that is also linked with performance benchmark. So the scope is anything, any function, anything, any process can be benchmarked. Problems with benchmark, for example, very difficult to obtain cooperation from other firms in your own. So I did not use the term cooperation, we said partnership, but it is the same thing. Yeah. Um, so I think you should we have decent conversation here. You should look into those there. I made some self notes against the best and try to beat them. Of course, the book is not saying it. These are self notes after looking at benchmarking topic. I wrote to myself. So you you need to think about these things. What it is. Competitive benchmark, study from distance, no context. So what, for example, the question can be like, if you find someone to benchmark against and they are not willing to cooperate for whatever the reason, even if they are from the other industry, how to go about that? That is a very interesting practical problem which companies face. So in that, you study them from distance. A lot of information is available online. You look at that, and so on. So competitive benchmarking versus cooperative and these type of terminologies would be there. So don't worry about them. Whenever the terminology is there, run a Google search, try to understand what it is from different sources. Read, spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes on different terminologies, and you should be fine. It's not hard. Is benchmarking cheating because you are looking at other people's processes and sometimes copying them? So is it cheating? Is it illegal, immoral, unethical? You need to think about these things in your own time. And um, when you are I lost the point. In benchmarking, two companies agree to cooperate, and the companies need to be uh, need not to be a competitor. I made that point. Best in class, not willing to partner. Far away geography, this is some problem which can come. I was thinking, just thinking about these things, what can be the problems. Yes, the point I was trying to make is like for like Scotia Bank and NCB, sometimes they would break the employer from the other bank. So a person who is working for Scotia Bank, they would switch to NCB, and a person and working in NCB would switch to Scotia, like top management, not the top maybe, not the CEO level, but second tier management, vice president level. We have seen that in news and stuff like that. So that is again, when the competition is not willing to cooperate themselves, then you break someone who works there. And when they come to your company, they they will bring their knowledge with them, how the things are performed in the competition. They are automatically going to bring that knowledge, and you are not necessarily asking them to bring the knowledge or share the knowledge, but in their talks, in their conversations, it will automatically come, all the information they have. Like if you are, if Scotia Bank and NCB are competition, and I am Scotia and you are NCB, and I bring you to my company, and now in the meeting, we are in our company in Scotia, we are talking about making some product, and that is a product which NCB has already made, maybe not made it public yet. So although by law, if you come to my company, you should not say it, you should not tell, but somewhere along the line it is going to come, because you are going to make some comments based on that knowledge. So you might never tell me that NCB is working on it, but you will participate in the discussion based on your knowledge. It is automatic that you are going to maybe say some things which will make the product of Scotia Bank a little better. So by law, maybe that is not right. It's illegal, but it is just in the conversation. It is going to come automatically. It is going to come. It is not that the person is being unethical. It is just like, I have the knowledge of your final exam. Yes. So if I know that benchmarking is a topic where heavy emphasis is on in the exam, and of course I'm not telling that to you, that there will be a lot of questions on benchmarking in the final exam. But as I am looking at different topics, because I know within that it will be more questions, so unconsciously maybe I will spend more time on the topic of benchmarking than maybe it is required. Yeah. So unconsciously this thing would happen, and maybe I've already written on Orwelly that all the courses I'm teaching this semester, it is all inclusive. So you would have to look at everything, but unconsciously I would just bring that out, that information out, which can be right, which can be wrong. It is dependent on your interpretation, how you view, how I'm giving different topics different time, and so on. Yeah. uh, so this is like unconsciously sometimes people do it. But anyways, pay attention to all topics, although I might have given more emphasis to some topics, but that is no excuse. If I have asked you to read on something, then of course that you need to read that. So these are some self notes they are there for your review. We have looked at the roles and what should be the sequence, for example, of benchmarking. Of course, for example, it's obvious that first you will look within. What is happening? What are the areas you can improve? What are the things you can do yourself before even you go outside? And how you would know what you are doing good and what you are not doing good? By observation, by talking with the people who are working on the equipment, if it is equipment, in the plant, if it is a plant, if it is a service, with the service providers, customer reps, whatever, depending on different, you would collect data and see what is, and then see what is where the gaps are. So a lot of work you would need to do. So again, it will link with the timing. Time is very, very important. If you don't have the uh, proper time, these are very interesting pointers. You should spend some time looking at them. They are in the raw format. uh, but before this, you should maybe read the chapter, and then after that look at the slides. But it is up to you. All the things are there. You can decide what you want to look first and what you want to look second and third and so on. But look at everything. Um, and then there is a dark side of benchmarking. I have posted a short reading on that, 2-3 pages, 3.5 page. You can look into that. It gives you interesting example. So antidote to innovation and competitive advantage. Yeah, you can look at that. There is a short clip I have posted. What is benchmarking? Uh, and linking it with supply chain. So now it is just an example. It's a short clip, and very nicely they have explained in the with the reference of supply chain. And now you can study benchmarking in your own field. For example, whatever type of business you are involved in, you work there or you are passionate about. Aviation industry, for example, maybe you like that industry, read about that industry. Automotive industry, you read about that. I'm not going to specify which industry you should read, because the basic principles are same. Just try to understand the topic overall, like benchmarking, what it is, what it really means, which companies are doing benchmarking. Are there any companies which started the process of benchmarking and failed? You should do some research on this and share that information with me. Yeah. Why they failed? Are there any reasons beyond what is written in the book chapters, or what are the major things I mentioned? Are there any other obstacles, issues in the modern scheme of things? Like, the book chapter is relatively old. Now we are in the age of, this is Internet of Things, IoTs we are talking about, a lot of automation and so on. So in these times, what are the things which maybe companies should take care of? Can we learn from failures of benchmarking? What happened there? Successes of benchmarking. Um, and in your own business where you work, are there any things, uh, just start looking for the word benchmarking wherever. Just keep in your mind, wherever you are looking, just look for the word benchmarking. It's not about research. It is just looking around. When you are looking at news, TV, anything, it can be a movie, it can be what. Look for the word benchmark, how often it is used, and tell me next week, or by the end of semester, write me a short email. Did you hear this term? Did you see this in Gleaner, Observer, anywhere? And on the hoardings outside in your company, you overheard someone use the word benchmark? And you would be surprised. It's not going to come very often. I doubt it. But if it comes, let me know, and where it comes. That would be good knowledge to have, where it is, where they are happening. And handle of, I think, is already found some example. Very good handle. It's good if it is example and so on. Yeah. So that type of engagement you would want to create. Just look for the term benchmarking and see, make yourself open. Ask your colleagues, are you aware of any benchmarking activities locally or internationally? That that is how you will learn over a period of time about benchmarking. But of course, it is a very interesting concept to look at and think about. Uh, look at the definitions of how different places have explained the term benchmarking. Of course, you will start from there and see how it moves. Uh, that is good for this topic.